Welcome to Science Store online classes.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Dear students, welcome back to biology online classes. The CET NEET topic what we are discussing is all about the human reproduction. Take out the worksheet number 1. In the previous session I have discussed around say 15 questions. So let me discuss the next question, that is question number 16. Okay. So let me read out the question number 16. The morula is a developmental stage. A. Between the zygote and the blastocyst. B. Between the blastocyst and the gastrula. C. After the implantation. D. Between implantation and parturition. Parturition means childbirth. Implantation means the attachment of the blastocyst to the wall of the uterus. Between the blastocyst and gastrula, gastrula is the stage which is formed after the blastula. Between the zygote and the blastocyst. So zygote is formed as a result of fertilization between the male gamete and the female gamete, sperm and the ovum. So single celled zygote is formed which undergo developmental stage, and it leads to the development of the embryo. Okay, so after the zygote the division starts, that means the cleavage starts, and say after the fertilization, half an hour after the fertilization, the first cleavage furrow divides the zygote into two equal cells which are called as the blastomeres. Then the next cleavage results in the formation of 4 blastomeres, and then third cleavage results in 8 blastomeres, fourth cleavage in 16 blastomeres. So at this stage, at the 8 to 16 celled stage, okay, the zygote, the cleaved zygote, that is called as the morula. Morula means it resembles a fruit called as the mulberry fruit, that is why it is called as the morula. All these things you have studied in the theory class, correct? So just a recollection of what we studied in our theory class. So between the zygote and the blastocyst, after the morula, the next stage is the blastocyst. The mammalian blastula, it's called as the blastocyst. So the morula will slowly, gradually changes into 32 cell stage, 64 cell stage. After the 32 cell stage, actually, the cleavage furrow is irregular. Before that, there will be a regularity in the formation of the cleavage furrow. After the 32 cell stage, there is irregularity in the formation of the cleavage furrow, and you will get a next stage, that is called as the blastula stage, and the blastula of the mammals, that is called as the blastocyst, which are enclosing a cavity, it is called as the blastocele. The outermost layer is called as the trophoblast, and there is a group of cells which are present inside the blastula, those are called as inner mast cells or embryonic knob, which gives rise to the formation of the proper embryo. So the right option for morula is the developmental stage between the zygote and the blastocyst. So the blastocyst itself gets implanted, attached to the wall of the uterus, say around the 7th to 9th day of the pregnancy. Next, coming to question number 17, the membranous. So after the blastula stage, there is a next stage that is called as the gastrula. Next moves to the question number 17. The membranous cover of the ovum at ovulation is A. Corona radiata, B. Zona radiata, C. Zona pellucida, D. chorion. Now I have already explained in the previous session what is the corona radiata. See, the egg or the ovum is surrounded by the outermost thin layer, which is the thin, transparent and non-cellular layer called as the zona pellucida. This zona pellucida is followed by one more outer layer that is called as the corona radiata, which is formed as a result, which are formed of the follicular cells. So the membranous cover of the ovum at ovulation, that is called as the corona radiata. Now, what is zona radiata? Zona radiata is similar to that of the zona pellucida, but in case of teleost fishes, teleost means which includes ray-finned fishes, one can see a very much thicker zona pellucida, that is called as the zona radiata. Okay. Next, what is the meaning of the term chorion? So, it is outermost membrane surrounding the fetal embryo, okay, and which is found in case of reptiles, birds, as well as in case of mammals. And in mammals, it contributes to the formation of placenta. This chorion is an extra embryonic membrane. The membrane which is present surrounding the embryo, that extra embryonic membrane, that is called as the chorion. And during the later stages of the development of the embryo, it gives rise to the formation of the placenta. Placenta is a cushion-like structure which is a connection between the mother and the fetus for the exchange of gases as well as the exchange of nutrients. Let's move to question number 18. Identify the odd one from the following: labia minora, fimbriae, infundibulum and isthmus. See, B, C, D, all these are the part of the female reproductive organ, correct? Fallopian tube. But labia minora means it is part of female external genitalia. So, labia majora are the paired folds of the tissues under the labia minora are the paired folds of tissues under the labia majora. So, which indeed surrounding or surrounds the vaginal opening. Okay. So, cushion-like structure. But fimbriae, infundibulum and isthmus, all these are the parts of the female reproductive organ, that is the fallopian tube or the oviduct. Let's move to question number 19. The time of optimum chances of conception in a woman is dash, starting from the day of menstruation. Menstruation starting in the yav day. Chances of conception in a woman is strong on the 14th day, because on the 14th day there will be rupture of the Graafian follicle takes place, and the Graafian follicle ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte, okay, on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. So, the ovum is easily available for the sperm to get fertilized. So, that is the answer is 14th day. Next, question number 20. The fourth cleavage plane during the development of the frog egg is single latitudinal, double meridional, single meridional. Let me explain you this particular concept. So, the nature of amphibian egg or frog, this is what our next topic is. The nature of amphibian egg or frog. You have to take down these notes. See, it is mesolecital. Mesolecital means, meso means moderate amount, lecital means it is referring to the yolk, a nutritive substance. So, if you take the amount of yolk which is present in the egg of a frog or amphibian, it is moderate or medium size. So, yolk is medium or moderate. So, the egg is called as the mesolecital egg. Okay. Then Moderately telolecital, it is also moderately telolecital. What is the meaning of moderately telolecital? The moderate quantity of the yolk which is distributed unevenly. Yolk distribution is uneven. For example, if there is a ovum, it has got two poles. One is the animal pole, another one is the vegetal pole. If you draw a line which passes through the animal pole to vegetal pole, that is called as animal vegetal axis. It's called as animal vegetal axis. So they have moderate amount of the yolk. So this moderate amount of the yolk is concentrated more towards the vegetal pole rather than in the animal pole. So quantity of yolk which is moderate amount is present in the vegetal pole. Okay. So moderately telolecital is unevenly distributed, more towards the vegetal pole and less towards the animal pole. So moderately telolecital. Okay. Now the cleavage in case of cleavage, it's a division, cleavage in case of frog, it is holoblastic and unequal. Holoblastic and unequal. Now what do you mean by holoblastic and unequal? It means the entire egg it will divide, that is called as holoblastic, and the resulting blastomeres, resulting cells are called as blastomeres. They are unequal in size. Okay, so it is called as holoblastic and unequal. Okay, the cleavage, it is also called as cellulation. What is another name for cleavage? It is cellulation. Remember. Okay, these divisions results in the formation of the cells, and these resulting cells are called as what? The blastomeres. The blastomeres. So, how is the first cleavage? There are different cleavages. First cleavage. First cleavage, you see, the egg, animal pole and vegetal pole. First cleavage is said to be meridional. What is that? Meridional. It runs from the animal pole to the vegetal pole. Then the second cleavage. The second cleavage. So the first cleavage results in the formation of how many blastomeres? 2 blastomeres. Now the second cleavage, it is also meridional. It is also meridional, but at right angles to the first one, and results in the formation of 4 blastomeres. So first cleavage means it results in the formation of 2 blastomeres, and second cleavage means 4 blastomeres. Now see the third cleavage, how it happens. The third cleavage, this is the first cleavage, animal pole, vegetal pole, first cleavage and the second cleavage, right angles to the first, and okay, sorry, this is the first cleavage, meridional, second cleavage also is meridional. Okay, results in the formation of 1, 2, 3, 4 blastomeres. 4 blastomeres. Okay, now just see first cleavage, meridional, second cleavage is also meridional, and see the third cleavage. The third cleavage is like this. It is latitudinal. So the third cleavage is latitudinal or equatorial. So that results in the formation of 8 blastomeres. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another that way. Okay. 3D dimension I cannot show here. So latitudinal. So results in the formation of how many blastomeres? Third cleavage means 8 blastomeres. Then the fourth cleavage, how does the fourth cleavage takes place? Now if you see the fourth cleavage, the animal pole, vegetal pole, the first cleavage, second cleavage, the third cleavage. Okay. Now the fourth cleavage, it is also double meridional. How many? Double meridional. Two meridional planes simultaneously takes place and results in the formation of 16 blastomeres. How many? 16 blastomeres. So, whatever the cells which are formed, they are of unequal in size. That is why it is called as holoblastic and unequal cleavage. Okay. Upper tiers of cells, they are called as the micromeres because they are smaller, and the lower one they are called as the macromeres because they are larger size cells. Micromeres as well as the macromeres. The division in case of the animal pole is more compared to the vegetal pole because less amount of yolk is concentrated. Yolk will not interfere the cleavage or the division at the animal pole region, but more amount of the yolk is present at the vegetal pole region. So the yolk will interfere with the division or the cleavage at the vegetal pole. So as a result, micromeres, large number of small cells, the smaller cells are formed at the animal pole and the larger cells are formed at the macromeres. When the division continues, more and more number of cells are produced at the animal pole when compared to the vegetal pole, where the cleavage furrow becomes irregular at the later stages, and the cleavage will give rise to a structure that is called as the morula at 8 to 16 cell stage, and later stages it will change into blastula, and blastula will later give rise to the formation of gastrula. Formation of the blastula is called as blastulation, and the formation of gastrula, it is called as the gastrulation. Okay. So answer for this particular question, the fourth cleavage plane during the development of frogs is double meridional, that is option C. Got my point? Okay. Let me erase this. So we'll move to the next question, that is question number 21. The fetal ejection reflex in human triggers the release of, what is fetal ejection reflex? It releases oxytocin from the maternal pituitary, or oxytocin from the fetal pituitary, or human chorionic gonadotrophin HCG from the placenta, or human placental lactogen, that is HPL from the placenta. Come on, tell me. Yes, you are correct, students. It releases the oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. So, parturition means it is the process of delivery of the fetus. So, it is also called as the childbirth, that is the parturition. Okay. So, what is fetal ejection reflex? Means it is the vigorous contraction of the uterine wall or uterine endometrium, okay, by the placenta when the fetus is fully developed. Okay. Then the parturition gives signals, okay, and the placenta induces the mild uterine contractions. So this triggers the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary gland. Okay, placenta is responsible for the wild or vigorous contraction of the uterine endometrium and helps for the parturition. During this time, the placenta also gives the signals for the anterior maternal pituitary gland, mother's pituitary gland, to release a hormone called as oxytocin. So the oxytocin helps for giving the child birth. So which region of the pituitary? There are two regions in the pituitary. One is anterior pituitary called as adenohypophysis, and another one is the posterior pituitary, which is called as neurohypophysis. This neurohypophysis region of the pituitary, it gives rise to the formation of two hormones. One is oxytocin and another one is the antidiuretic hormone ADH, or also called as vasopressin. The vasopressin helps for the absorption of water from the later part of the urinary ferrous tubule, from the later part of the kidney tubule, okay, that is mainly from the distal convoluted tubule as well as from the collecting duct, and it prevents the diuresis. Diuresis means the formation of dilute urine. By absorbing more and more water, it prevents the process of diuresis. Okay, let's move to question number 22. Menstrual flow occurs due to the lack of 1 progesterone, 2 FSH, 3 oxytocin, 4 vasopressin. Menstrual flow occurs due to the lack of hormone progesterone, because progesterone is called as the pregnancy hormone. If progesterone is lacking, progesterone is secreted by an endocrine gland, a temporary endocrine gland, that is called as the corpus luteum. See, after the ovulation, on the 14th day of the ovulation, the secondary oocyte ruptures from the Graafian follicle, and this Graafian follicle gets converted into a temporary endocrine gland, and that is called as the corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum secretes continuously progesterone if there is pregnancy. If there is no pregnancy, this corpus luteum will degenerate and it forms a scar that is called as the corpus albicans. Correct? So, here menstrual flow, if there is no pregnancy, menstrual flow will stop. If there is a pregnancy, then the menstrual flow will start. It indicates the menstrual cycle is continuing. Okay, so the right option is the option 1. FSH is a follicle stimulating hormone which is responsible for the development of different stages of follicles, primary follicles, secondary follicles, tertiary follicles, Graafian follicles, ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ responsible ಯಾವುದು ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್? follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. Oxytocin and vasopressin I already told. Next, move to question number 23. Which one of the following is not the function of the placenta? Placenta the function ಯಾವುದು ಅಲ್ಲ? You know already what is the placenta. It is the cushion-like structure which connects the maternal blood and the fetal blood. Sorry. So, facilitates the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. That is correct. It secretes estrogen. Okay. Then facilitates the removal of carbon dioxide and the waste material from the embryo. That is also correct. Secretes oxytocin during the parturition. Okay. What is the incorrect option for question number 23? Yes, you are correct. That is option 4. Secretes oxytocin, but oxytocin is secreted by the posterior lobe of the maternal pituitary, not by the placenta. So that is the incorrect option. Okay. So placenta at the produces progesterone, estrogen, and human placental lactogen as well as human chorionic gonadotropin. These are the different hormones which are produced by the placenta. Next, move to question number 24. Which of the following hormones are secreted in large quantities during the pregnancy in women? Large quantities ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರೆಗ್ನೆನ್ಸಿ ಅವರೊಳಗ? Option is option 4, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, and HPL, that is human placental lactogen. So the HCG is made by the cells that forms the placenta. Okay, and thus produced only during the pregnancy, because placenta produced HCG, and during the pregnancy placenta is produced during the pregnancy. So the placenta secretes the hormone HCG, human chorionic gonadotropins. Okay, so it placental cells produce HPL also. So what is a chorionic gonadotropin? Means it stimulates the chorion is an extra embryonic membrane, correct? So this chorion is an extra embryonic membrane which surrounds the embryo. So HCG is a reproductive hormone, okay, that is responsible for establishing and maintaining the early pregnancy. So if you do the pregnancy test, if one does the pregnancy test in suspicion, then if there is a level of HCG hormone is more, that indicates the pregnancy, because it's produced only in the pregnant woman, HCG. So it helps for maintaining the early pregnancy, this hormone. So It is a hormone which is secreted by the placenta. So it is a hormone produced by the cells that surrounds the embryo. I told that cells that surrounds the embryo is a chorion. Okay, these cells will eventually go on to form the placenta. Okay, during the menstrual cycle. During the menstrual cycle, what happens when the egg is released from the ovary? Ovulation, the corpus luteum, which produces the hormone called as the progesterone. So HCG is the embryonic hormone which ensures the corpus luteum continues to produce the progesterone throughout the first trimester of pregnancy. So it also helps for maintaining the release of the progesterone hormone by the ovary. Okay, so it also plays a very important role in making the lining of the uterus, endometrium, it is ready for receiving the implanted embryo. That is also the function of what is given in the option, that is human chorionic gonadotrophin. So it also promotes the production of other steroids like estrogen and proteins such as relaxin, inhibin, so which are having the action in the uterus and helps for the gestation. So very important hormone, that is human chorionic gonadotrophin. So let's write the different functions of this human chorionic gonadotrophins, functions of HCG. Why I am giving this? Because it's important for the exam, very important. The first function, it's a reproductive hormone. It is a reproductive hormone. Write down, this is a reproductive hormone, and this is responsible for establishing and maintaining pregnancy. Helps for establishing and maintain pregnancy. Pregnancy establish ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ and maintain ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ help ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ this hormone. This is the first function. Okay. So these are secreted by the human embryo, the cells which are found around the human embryo. I told extra embryonic membranes that will secrete this. So second function, HCG is the embryonic hormone. Okay, and continuous production of progesterone throughout the first trimester ensures continuous production of progesterone during the first trimester, first 3 months, ensures continuous production of progesterone, the pregnancy hormone, by the corpus luteum, by corpus luteum. Okay, then, so it also helps for the production of progesterone from ovary, ensures production of progesterone from the ovary. Next, write down fourth one. Ensures making uterine endometrium uterine endometrium ready for what? Receiving fertilized egg or implantation of the fertilized egg to the uterine wall. It makes sure this uterine endometrium implanting the embryo. So that has to implant the embryo. Now students, what is an embryo? Embryo means, just see what is an embryo and what is the fetus. After the fertilization, that means the fusion of male gamete with the female gamete, there is the formation of a zygote. Zygote is a single cell stage. This zygote will start to develop into embryo up to 8th week, okay, of after the conception. It is said to be embryo. After the 8th week, that's from 9th week onwards, till the gestation, till the parturition by childbirth, it is called as the fetus. Okay, 2 ತಿಂಗಳ ಕನ್ಸೆಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿ 2 ತಿಂಗಳವರೆಗೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ 3rd ಮಂತ್ನಿಂದ 9 ಮಂತ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರ್ತ್ ಆಗೋ ತನಕ ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಫೀಟಸ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಎಂಬ್ರಿಯೋ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೀಟಸ್. ಮೆನಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ದ್ಯಾಟ್. Okay. So it also helps for the production of steroids. Production of steroids like estrogen, hormone which is responsible for the secondary sexual characters in case of the female. Estrogen. And proteins, protein hormones, and protein hormones. Such as relaxin, inhibin, which helps for the gestation. Helps for the gestation. So they have the action in the uterus. They have the action in the uterus to produce what? Gestation. So these are the different functions. It's a reproductive hormone. It's functions of SCG, reproductive hormone. So pregnancy hormone establishes and maintains the pregnancy, because it ensures the continuous progesterone level, okay, during the first trimester by the corpus luteum. So corpus luteum is the temporary endocrine gland, and say after around first trimester, this corpus luteum's function is taken up. That is pregnancy hormone. It's taken up by the human chorionic gonadotrophin. So it also ensures the continuous secretion of progesterone by the ovary. Then uterine endometrium ensures the fertilized eggs should be implanted on the wall of the uterus. Then also helps for the production of steroids like estrogen and protein hormones like relaxin and inhibin by the uterus for the gestation to occur. That is, these are all the functions of human chorionic gonadotrophin or HCG, very important. So which of the following is not the function of the placenta? Secretes oxytocin during parturition, it is not the functions. Rest are all the functions of HCG. Okay. Next, what is the function of HPL? What is HPL means? Human placental lactogen. So it is a growth hormone. HPL, human placental lactogen. HPL, it is a growth hormone. Write down, this is also important. It is a growth hormone. It's a growth hormone that affects the metabolism by breaking the fat in order to give the nutrition to to the developing embryo. So they help for metabolism of fat. They help for breakdown of the fat and to give energy, nutrition to the developing embryo. That is the function, main function of human placental lactogen. Also an important question. Function of the human placental lactogen. So inhibin is a hormone, and one more hormone, inhibin is the hormone, also important one, secreted by the granulosa cells in the ovaries of women. Secreted by the granulosa cells, the ovaries. So that will help for inhibition of FSH by the anterior pituitary gland. So it inhibits the secretion of FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, by the anterior pituitary. Follicle stimulating hormone, follicle stimulate ಆಗುವುದನ್ನು ತಡೆಯುವುದು ಯಾವುದು? Function is inhibin during the pregnancy, or if continuously follicles are producing, okay, then it may affect the pregnancy, alva. So during the pregnancy there is no need for releasing of follicles. So that is prevented by the hormone called as inhibin. So it acts on the granulosa cells of the ovary and inhibits the FSH production from the anterior pituitary. So relaxin means actually it is a hormone which helps for the relaxation of the pelvic wall and during the childbirth. That is the relaxin hormone. So already I told these functions also during my theory classes. So just it is a revision for you. Next one, yes, students, will move to the next question. Okay, the question is question number 24. Which one of the following hormones are secreted in large quantities during the pregnancy in the women? Oh, that is over. HCG and HPL. Now, number 25. The shared terminal duct of the reproductive and urinary system in the human male is urethra, ureter, vas deferens and vasa efferentia. What is the right answer? Yes, it is urethra. So in the human males, the urethra, it is about 8 inches long, okay, so and opens at the end of the penis. This urethra opens at the end of the penis in case of the males. So the urethra, it provides an exit for both the urine as well as for the sperm. So urethra, it is common urinogenital duct. Okay. Next, coming to question number, so ureter, it is just a duct. There is a kidney, pair of kidney, and from the kidney, the urine which is produced is passed through this ducts, pair of ducts. Those are called as ureters, and this ureter is connected to the urinary bladder, and from the urinary bladder, the urine will pass. In the urinary bladder, the urine will be temporarily stored, and the urine will be passed out of the body through the urethra. Okay. Next, question number 26. The main function of the mammalian corpus luteum is to produce which hormone? Yes, progesterone, hormone progesterone. That is option 2. Okay. Relaxin is a hormone which is produced by the ovary and the placenta. Relaxin is a hormone produced by the ovary and placenta. Quite important function of relaxin. Relaxin is a hormone which is produced by the ovary and placenta. Write down. So it plays a very important role in the female reproductive system and during the pregnancy. So it helps for childbirth. Helps for childbirth. Note down. It helps for childbirth. It relaxes the ligaments in the pelvis, hence the name relaxing. Relaxes ligaments in the pelvis. Relaxes the ligaments in the pelvis. Relaxes ligaments in the pelvis. E regional. Relax ligaments. Ligaments are the connective tissue which connects the bone to the bone and softens and widens the cervix and softens and widens the cervix. Cervix leads to vagina, which leads to the uterus, correct? Function of relaxing. Okay, we'll move to the next question, question number 27. Select the correct option which is describing the gonadotrophin activity in the normal pregnant female. 1. High level of FSH and LH stimulates the thickening of endometrium. 2. High level of FSH and LH facilitate the implantation of the embryo. 3. High level of SCG stimulates the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone. 4. High levels of SCG stimulates the thickening of the endometrium. Very important question. High level of human chorionic gonadotrophin stimulates the thickening of the endometrium and facilitates the endometrium for the attachment of the or the implantation of the fertilized embryo. Attachment of the blastocyst to the wall of the uterus, that is called as the implantation, which takes place on the 7th to 9th day of the pregnancy, and that is helpful and that is made possible by the human chorionic gonadotrophin hormone. Option D is the right option. Let's move to question number 28. Capacitation. For this I will give you the notes. Refers to the changes in the dash sperm before fertilization. It is the changes in the sperm before fertilization. Not ovum before fertilization, not ovum after fertilization, or sperm after fertilization. So capacitation means it refers to the activation of the sperm cells before fertilization. Activation of sperm cells before fertilization. So before the fertilization, the sperm cells needs to be activated, and that is called as the capacitation of the sperm. Activation, very important. Activation of the sperm cells before the fertilization is termed as, or refers to as, the capacitation. Refers to the capacitation. Write down. So it involves the recognition of the molecules which are present in the outer membrane of the sperm head. Recognition of molecules. Recognition of molecules which are present in the outer membrane of the sperm head. So whatever the molecules which are present on the outer membrane of the sperm head, this recognition has to be done. So capacitated sperm means it releases the enzymes from the acrosome. You know, it is a cap-like structure which is present on the above the region of the nucleus, that is the acrosome. So acrosome releases the enzymes. Which are the enzymes? Hyaluronidase, zonalysin and coronary radiated dissolving enzymes are secreted by the acrosome. So these capacitated sperms, they release these enzymes from the acrosome and penetrate the cells and zona pellucida surrounding the egg. Okay. So it is the penultimate step in the maturation of mammalian spermatozoa. So what is capacitation? It is nothing but the penultimate. Ultimate na modal baro step. Penultimate step in maturation of sperms or the spermatozoa. So whatever the molecules are present on the outer surface, the outer side of the head, it has to be recognized by the egg. Okay. So that is capacitation for you. Okay. So it is the penultimate step and it is required to render them competent to fertilize the oocyte. Okay. So this step is a biochemical event. So the sperm move normally and they look mature prior to the capacitation. So in vivo means inside the body, this step typically occurs after the ejaculation or have been extracted from the epididymis in a defined medium for several hours. So uterus aids in the steps of capacitation. So this uterus helps for the process of capacitation. Uterus helps for capacitation. Uterus helps for the capacitation to occur. So by releasing or by secreting the sterol binding albumin, they releases sterol, a organic compound. So they releases the sterol binding albumin. Albumin is a type of protein. So how does this uterus helps for the capacitation? Because they will release the sterol binding albumin. Sterol is a type of organic compound. Albumin. These are some extra information. Then lipoproteins. Proteolytic, glycosidic, lipoproteins, proteolytics, glycosidics, enzymes. These are the different enzymes. Means lipoproteins means made up of lipids and proteins. Proteolytic means which helps for the breakdown of the proteins. Glycosidic enzymes acts on the carbohydrates. Glycosidic enzymes such as heparin. These are heparin. So uterus helps for the capacitation by secreting sterol binding albumins, lipoproteins, proteolytics, glycosidic enzymes such as heparin. Such as heparin. ಸೊ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಯುಟಿರಸ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ಬೈ ಸೆಕ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಎನ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ contains albumin, it contains lipoproteins, it is a proteolytic enzyme, also it is a glycosidic enzyme. ಸೊ ಈ ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್ ಯುಟಿರಸ್ನಿಂದ ಸೆಕ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಸ್ಪರ್ಮ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಇಜಾಕ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯುಟಿರಸ್ನೊಳಗೆ ಹೋದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಸರ್ವಿಕ್ಸ್ನಿಂದ ಆಗಿ ವಜೈನಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಯುಟಿರಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ಆಗ ಆ ಯುಟಿರಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಿರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಬೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ಬುಮಿನ್, ಲಿಪೋಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್, ಪ್ರೊಟಿಯೋಲೈಟಿಕ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್, ಗ್ಲೈಕೋಸಿಡಿಕ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದಿರೋದು ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್ ಇರೋದು. ಹೆಪಾರಿನ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟಿರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಬೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ಬುಮಿನ್, lipoprotein and proteolytic glycosidic enzyme heparin, and this is mainly meant for the process of capacitation, which is the penultimate step in the maturation of the sperm. So this helps for the ovum to identifying the molecules which are present outside the head of the sperm, and after that the sperm will get capacitated. It has the capacity to fertilize the ovum, so that from the acrosome region the different enzymes like hyaluronidase, zona, lysine all will release, and that will act on the layers of the ovum like corona radiata, zona lysine, zona pellucida and the plasma membrane, and it will dissolve these walls, and the sperm nucleus will mate with the egg nucleus. So without the capacitation, without the activation of the sperms, the sperm is unable to fertilize the egg, and that is done only in vivo. Once it reaches to the uterus, the enzyme heparin, which is responsible for the activation of the molecules which are present on the outer wall of the head, so that the acrosome can releases the enzymes and dissolves the wall of the ovum, and the male nucleus is come and fuses with the egg nucleus. So there are millions of sperms are produced during the sexual intercourse, and millions of sperms are introduced into the female reproductive tract. Out of these millions of sperms, not all the sperms fertilize the the egg, but or the egg nucleus, but only out of millions of sperms, only one sperm is capable to fertilize the ovum. That is the activated sperm, and that process is called as the capacitation. It's a very important concept. So mark it as important, very important concept now. That is capacitation. Okay. So capacitation refers to the changes in the sperm before the fertilization. Next, question number 29. Which of these is not important component of initiation of parturition in humans? Increase in estrogen and progesterone ratio, synthesis of prostaglandins, release of oxytocin, release of prolactin. Okay. Which of these is not an important component? That is release of prolactin. Correct? Others are all important. See, others are all the important component of the initiation of parturition in humans. Parturition refers to the childbirth. Okay, so it is the process of delivering a child from the womb of the mother to outside. That is called as the parturition. So it is usually bring by the hormone that is called as the oxytocin. What is there in the option? The release of the oxytocin. So this oxytocin is mainly responsible for the contraction of the uterus wall, uterine muscles. Okay. Then estrogen and progesterone level also gets increases. Their ratio indicates the initiation of the parturition process. Prolactin is the hormone which is released after the parturition. So, in order to secrete the milk from the mammary gland, that is the prolactin. One more option is there, that is the synthesis of prostaglandins. Now, what are prostaglandins? What is the function of prostaglandins? I have told in the theory class about the prostaglandins, if you remember. What are prostaglandins? Yes. So, prostaglandins are synthesized and released in response to the oxytocin hormone. Prostaglandins are released in response to the hormone oxytocin. So, let me explain about prostaglandins. Prostaglandins. Note down, students. Function prostaglandins. So, it is produced in response to the hormone oxytocin, produced in response to the hormone oxytocin. Then helps for the motility of vas deferens. Helps for the motility of vas deferens. That is the sperm duct, helps for the motility of vas deferens, sperms in the vas deferens, and regulation of blood flow, and regulation of blood flow, regulation of blood flow to the male genitalia, to the male external genitalia, regulation of blood flow to the male external genitalia. Okay. So, prostaglandin helps for the relaxation of muscles. Prostaglandins helps for the relaxation of muscles and enhanced blood flow, for the relaxation of muscles and enhanced blood flow. Enhanced blood flow. So, note down these notes, note down these points about the prostaglandins. Okay. So, we have completed up to question number 29. Let's move to the. So, this prostaglandin is one more secreted by the walls of the blood vessels, walls of the blood vessels, secreted by the walls of blood vessels, and also prevents needless blood clot, prevents needless blood clot. And helps for the contraction of smooth muscle tissue. Okay, contraction of smooth muscles. Contraction of smooth muscles. Okay, that is enough for prostaglandins. Let's move to question number 30. Which of the following cells during gametogenesis is normally diploid? Primary polar body. This results as a formation of meiosis, so it is haploid. Spermatid, it is also a haploid. Here secondary spermatocytes undergo second meiosis and it forms spermatid, so it is haploid. Then spermatogonia, these are diploid. Second polar body also formed as a result of second meiosis, so they are also haploid, but the spermatogonia are diploid, so the right answer is the option 3. For the question number 30, the right option is option 3. Okay, so students, we have completed up to number 30, question number 30. So we have completed 30 questions in this particular chapter, that is human reproduction under CET and NEET. So take down all the important points what I have written on the board and also take my lecture notes, and thank you for watching the video.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.